Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the Mehlville School District Board of Education January 16th meeting. If we could all please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I would like to do roll call. So Tori Belke. Here. Patrick McKelvey.
Present.
I'm Peggy Hassler. Scott Hugerich.
Here.
Jean Preto. Here. Jeff Woolman.
Present.
Grace Wright. Here. If I could please get a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, moving on to candidates. First, I would like to talk a little bit about our upcoming election for school board. 4 Mehlville School District citizens have filed their candidacy for 2 positions on the board. Both positions are 3-year terms. The candidates, as their names will appear on the ballot, are as follows. And if you're here, if you'd like to stand and wave at us all, that'd be great. Megan Pauley. Ann Zimpher, Serene Wilkinson, and Mick Johnson Jr. The election is for positions currently held by Board Director Scott Hugerich and Grace Wright. Neither are seeking re-election. The election will be held on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Mehlville School District will provide more information about each candidate in March through the Mehlville Messenger print newsletter and on the district website. So I want to thank the 4 of you for stepping up and offering to serve our community. So welcome. Next is Superintendent Update, Dr. Jeff Hogg.
All right, good evening, Board of Education. My name is Jeff Hogg. I'm the Superintendent of Schools. And as we've started this year, we just kind of give a monthly report of things happening around the district. We have amazing kids, we have amazing staff, and it's kind of fun just to celebrate that in a public setting. And so while we really need to thank these groups of people. Last week was, more snow than we have seen in years. It was heavy, it was thick, and it took quite a bit to move it. So our custodians, our facilities department, transportation, and bus drivers just did an amazing job making sure that schools were ready. Our buildings and lots were ready. We just couldn't get kids here because of the roads at times. So really, our people, again, are just top-notch, and we can't thank them enough. We have 2 students, Sarah Brand from Oakville and Ian Parai. Is that, Elliot, is that a sibling? Okay, all right, very cool. From Mehlville, who were named Students of the Month by the Southwest Area Chamber of Commerce. And then we have Kiwanis Terrific Kids, so there's 4 students there. And I'd be remiss not to point out that the young man on the right, you'll hear from his mom here in a little bit when she presents for parents as teachers. And then we had a really cool celebration right before break. Chris Ramey, band director at Oakville Middle, was recognized, and it was neat. It was their winter concert, and so they had the choir and the band and everybody there, and they brought in the school, and so he's getting ready to start, and they stop the thing, and they bring out this award for him in front of everybody, which is it was really neat from the Missouri Music Educators Association, so that was cool. And then Life Changer of the Year, Rose Pizzo from Bernard Middle Cafeteria. And if you have not gone on the website, go on the website and watch this video. It's just heartwarming and it is cool, but what she does at Bernard for our students is just amazing. So yeah, go on the website and watch that. And then again, we just came off winter break, so we didn't have a lot this month, but there'll be more to come, so thank you.
I don't have my microphone on, I'm so sorry. So from Oakville High School, we have Vildana Korkoric, and from Mehlville, we have Elliot Parai. So Vildana, if you want to go first and tell us a little bit each month about what's going on in their schools.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So the recent snowstorm gave us an extended winter break, as you already know, since schools were closed for several days due to the weather. We did have one AMI day to keep up with learning virtually, but overall, students really enjoyed the unexpected time off and made the most of the snowy conditions. Some of our theater students attended the Missourian Thespian Conference recently. They participated in workshops, performances, and competitions. I'm proud to share that a few of our students received recognition for their skills, and one of their performances qualified to compete at the International Thespian Festival this summer. Our school's annual talent show, originally scheduled for last Friday, has been postponed because of the snow. It has been rescheduled for tomorrow, and we're looking forward to seeing all the performances. Looking ahead, we are less than a month away from hosting the Special Olympics over at Oakville. Students and staff are very excited and working really hard to prepare for such an exciting event. Even with the weather disruptions, we're settling back into a good routine and looking forward to the rest of the semester. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And next is Elliot.
All right, so given that we've only had 4 days back, there's not really much to report on. But we had our beginning of second semester with an unprecedented 3 snow days in a row. This highlights our commitment to safety above all, and I think it was really the right decision. Students are settling into their new second semester schedules. And tomorrow at the basketball game, there is a Chuck a Duck fundraiser in which participants, you buy a duck and you throw it toward the center of the basketball court. The 3 closest ones win Chick-fil-A gift cards. It'll be a lot of fun, and the profits go toward Special Olympics Missouri. So if you can, make sure to come and participate. Chuck some ducks.
Well, we know Patrick will be there. All right. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Elliot. Okay, next is recognition of staff, students, and community volunteers. First, we will hear from early childhood, Tiffany Schweigel.
Hi, I am Tiffany Schwigel, the Director of Mehlville Early Childhood. On behalf of our entire program, we would like to share our gratitude to Liam Cardinal and his family for their incredible dedication and generosity. Through countless hours of volunteering, fostering community partnerships, and donating valuable resources, they have made a profound impact on our program. Their collaborative efforts have significantly increased family engagement and enhanced student learning resources, while also strengthening our staff's sense of belonging. Their time and devotion have been instrumental in propelling our program forward in a positive and meaningful direction. Thank you to the Cardinal family for being such an integral part of our success.
Do you want to go? Grace, do you want to go? Okay, well, thank you, Cardinal family, for everything you guys do for early childhood. That's amazing. Next up is Parents as Teachers, Erin Amador.
Hello, my name is Erin Amador, Coordinator of Parents as Teachers in Early Childhood. Tonight, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Rogers Elementary team, specifically Dr. Kenoy, Ms. Kaminsky, and Ms. DeRoy. We deeply appreciate their unwavering support of the Parents as Teachers program and the continued support of our WonderWorks program, which is a playroom housed at Rogers Elementary. While opening your school to our program is a significant step, the Rogers team has gone above and beyond. Their warm welcome and weekly collaboration have created a truly supportive environment for our families. We are incredibly grateful for their partnership in establishing a free playroom right here in Mehlville, providing a valuable space for families to connect and build relationships. This playroom offers many of our families their first positive exposure to a school environment, which is often financially inaccessible to them. These three truly understand the importance of these connections. Their dedication to knowing each family by name and taking the time to build relationships with them is invaluable. We are so grateful for their partnership and the impact they have on our families. Thank you all so much from the Parents as Teachers program to you, and thank you for your continued investment.
Thank you, Rogers. We expect nothing less out of you guys, but we appreciate everything you guys do for parents as teachers. All right, next is MNEA, Bridget Kelly.
Hello, I'm Bridget Kelly, Secretary of Mehlville NEA and Building Coordinator. I'm here to present our Students of the Month from both Mehlville Early Childhood and Parents as Teachers. Say that 5 times fast. We'll start with Parents as Teachers. Leslie, I believe, is going to present to the Holman family. So come on up. I'm sorry, did I say that? Hogan family, sorry, not Holman. Hogan family, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to represent the Hogan family. This family is so involved with teaching their children not only child development, but how to be kind and caring. They make everyone feel welcome and are very much appreciative on ideas, resources, and advice that are given. Mom has come from having a medical emergency a few years ago to really taking each day and making the best. I have known this family for years, and they will do anything for anyone.
And then from Mehlville Early Childhood, we are going to recognize Caleb Benson. Hi, Caleb. Caleb has made incredible progress since he started with Mehlville Early Childhood at 3 years old. He is now able to communicate clearly with his peers and his teachers. His ability to focus and his problem-solving skills have grown tremendously. He is kind to his friends in the classroom, follows the school rules, and enjoys helping others. We are so proud to say that he is ready for kindergarten and our Mehlville NEA Student of the Month. Congratulations, buddy. This is for you.
Tori, go.
Grace, you want to go again? Somebody go.
Scott. just showing when.
Okay, congratulations, everybody. Next up is open period for patron comments relating to board agenda items, and we do not have anyone signed up. So we will move on to student achievement. And first up is parents as teachers, Erin Armador.
Hello, my name is Erin Amador, and I am the Parents as Teachers and Early Childhood Coordinator, and I am so excited to be here tonight to talk to you about a program that is near and dear to me, as well as incredibly impactful in our community. For our first celebration, we want to highlight our community partnerships. This year, our Parents as Teachers program hosted our beginning of the year screening event at the Crossing. Due to the space they provided us, we were able to screen 114 of the newest Mehlville early childhood students. This gave our partner program the opportunity to start strong, knowing more about their incoming students, while also providing parents with developmental information in the area of motor, cognition, and language. Through this collaboration, we have forged a partnership that has now provided our Parents as Teachers families with 4 play groups that have been hosted by the Crossing. This opportunity opened up a free play space on the north end of our district that allowed families access and opportunity to a free first school experience. We continued our partnership with both the Kiwanis Club and the St. Louis County Library. The Kiwanis Club added an additional trail to our accessible outdoor walking path, making it accessible to both wheelchairs and strollers. The library has continued to provide professional development to our educators in the area of multilingual literacy, as well as increasing our knowledge of books that support social emotional development. And lastly, kindergarten transitions continue to be a focus of our program. And we could not do this without the collaboration and partnership of our elementary teams. It is with their support through attending our kindergarten kickoff event, as well as hosting us for kindergarten celebrations to screen potential students, that we have truly bridged the transition between early childhood and elementary. For our second celebration, I want to give a special shout out to our screening team. Until 3 years ago, our educators handled the screenings, which limited how frequently we could visit community schools. Now with the dedicated screening team in place, we've been able to significantly increase our reach. This year, we expanded from screening at just 2 local schools to approximately 7, and we've screened 77% of Mehlville early childhood's population, totaling 376 students from ages 3 to kindergarten. Of those screenings, 10% of them have ended in a referral to our diagnostic team or to further testing. We've also introduced Parents as Teachers as an intervention for students with low dial scores. This approach not only provides continued support for families, but also helps us closely track students who may need additional assistance in the future. Our program consists of 4 key components: visits, screenings, group connections, and resource connections. Tonight I'll focus on all areas, but want to begin with group connections and resource connections. This year we're hosting 15 group connections with topics ranging from favorites like Mud Day and Things That Go to new ones inspired by feedback from parents and educators. We've also expanded our focus on infants and toddlers, adding sessions like baby sign language and relaxation support for infants. These additions have helped us recruit new families and better support existing ones. As our program grows, so does the need for diverse resources. To address this, we've introduced a family support network, a tool that helps educators quickly find and connect families with resources in their community. One resource we have to highlight is our Moms Club. They continue to play a key role supporting families year-round with meal trains, educators support, and holiday adoption programs. This network is made possible by our dedicated educators who have pursued additional certifications. These credentials enable us to offer the group and resource connections that benefit our families. This graph highlights our growth in both the number of children served and visit frequency. Over the past 3 years, the number of children served increased by 16%, while visit frequency grew by 23%. These outcomes are a direct result of the exceptional efforts of our educators who implemented a cycle visiting strategy to provide continuous support of families. In previous years, visits were based solely on specific criteria. However, with valuable input from our educators, we shifted our visit planning strategy to prioritize families' needs first, and then second, we align with cycle visit counts that meet with DESE's criteria. This cycle count represents the minimum number of visits an educator is expected to complete during each cycle, with 4 cycles per year. Currently, 100% of our educators are actively working to meet their cycle targets. Additionally, we have expanded our outreach by increasing interpreter services by 237%, enabling us to collaborate more effectively with all families and ensure greater access and opportunity. The data shown above is a direct reflection of the dedication and hard work of our educators and what they've put into our community. As shown above, we have experienced significant growth in our team over the past few years. The number of educators has expanded from 8 to 14, enabling us to better serve our families and enhance our impact. Additionally, the number of screeners has increased from 2 to 6. This growth has been instrumental in helping us avoid a wait list this year, which is crucial for maintaining our program's reimbursement potential. Our educators now manage caseloads ranging from 20 for our newest part-time educators to 63 for our experienced full-time educators, reflecting our team's increased capacity and efficiency. The growth in screeners has also allowed us to extend our reach into the community by inviting 90% of our district's private schools to host screenings as well. Today, we will look at the findings from the Early Childhood Research Quarterly on the outcomes of the Parents as Teachers program. The research highlights the positive impact of parents as teachers on early childhood development, emphasizing how early intervention can set the foundation for long-term academic and social success. Some key takeaways are improved developmental outcomes. Children who participate in PAT programs demonstrated stronger language, cognitive, and social emotional skills. Parent engagement. PAT helps parents become more involved in their child's early learning, which influences them throughout their career. School readiness. The program provides early identification of developmental needs, fostering school readiness and smoother transitions to formal education. As we look ahead, the research that we see above will reinforce the importance of continuing to strengthen and expand the PAT program to enhance its effectiveness in our community for our children and families. Above, you'll see our program goals for the year, and here's where we're at so far. Goal number 1, developmental screenings. We have surpassed our initial goal of screening 70% of eligible 3 to 5-year-olds in the Mehlville School District, currently around 77%. The significant progress ensures that more children are receiving early identification and support. Goal number 2, for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, we have partnered with surrounding school districts and have increased our participation in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library from 40 to 60%. We will continue to monitor enrollment and explore further strategies to reach our target of 80%. Goal number 3, family enrollment. We have successfully increased family enrollment by 10% and continue to see growth, demonstrating the growing demand for and the value of our program within the community. Goal number 4, budget utilization. We are on track to effectively utilize 100% of our allocated budget, with projections indicating we may even exceed our budget due to the high demand for screenings within our community. Goal number 5, enhancing family support. Our educators have proactively integrated conscious discipline into their practice through the development of relevant lesson plans. Furthermore, the successful implementation of 3 group connections gave us a 93% positive increase in our family's confidence around social emotional support in the home. We are so grateful for the year we've had thus far, and we look forward to building on our success in 2025 with the following key initiatives. Starting immediately, we will increase community visibility to secure new partnerships while nurturing existing ones. In June 2025, we will pilot our first 12-month program focusing on kindergarten readiness and summer learning. This pilot is projected to generate around $9,520 in reimbursable income, and it will help us transition into a 12-month program beginning in July of 2025. With a higher allocation of services due to a longer service year, this will allow us to continue mass screenings as well as recruit more within our community. And lastly, in July and August, we will continue to screen all of our Mehlville early childhood students to support early identification. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the board for this opportunity to share the important work of parents as teachers and its impact on our community. Thank you so much.
So very impressive presentation and numbers, and I'm just super proud of everything that you guys are doing. So we owe our gratitude to you and Tiffany for your leadership in early childhood and parents as teachers. So thank you, thank you. There are lots and lots of questions that are on e-boards. We ask our questions pre-meeting so that they have more time to answer them, and we don't keep everyone here till midnight. So lots of questions about funding and progress and all kinds of things. So thank you for your answers to those too. All right, next up is early childhood, Tiffany Schweigel.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. My name is Tiffany Schweigel, and I am joined by Aaron Amador. Together, we oversee Mehlville Early Childhood, and tonight we're excited to share updates, celebrate successes, and discuss our plans for the program moving forward. We would like to start off with a celebration. We have been able to collaborate with program teams and identify additional eligible expenses that are reimbursable by the state, which increase district revenue by $70,000 per year. This additional revenue will provide more resources to support our programs and students, as well as strengthen our ability to expand and enhance early childhood services across the district. This is a great example of how we're working to be financially strategic while prioritizing quality education for our youngest learners. Our program continues to grow and evolve in exciting ways. This past year, we were able to add another classroom at Blades Elementary. In addition, we have had an increase of total student enrollment with students with IEPs and students without. We've been able to increase our staff to support these student needs. We've also expanded our outdoor classroom, in which other schools are also able to access. And lastly, we've been able to strengthen our community partnerships. In addition, we're excited to celebrate our success in staff climate ratings on the Panorama Survey. This year, we saw improvements in all areas, with scores increasing anywhere between 1% and 23% in each category. Our ratings continue to be above the district average, which speaks volumes about the positivity and dedication of our team. This accomplishment reflects the hard work and commitment of everyone involved, and we could not be more proud. We'd like to take a moment to highlight the various locations where Mehlville Early Childhood is serving our community. These locations allow us to meet the diverse needs of our families and ensure access to high-quality early childhood education across the district. In the last 3 years, we have successfully expanded our overall enrollment, providing increased access to early childhood education for more children. Comparing our enrollment figures on December 1st of each year, we have seen a rise of 21 students since last year. Our collaboration with parents as teachers has proven beneficial in identifying students with special education needs earlier through their screening process. We anticipate that an additional 60 to 70 students will qualify for special education services before the conclusion of the school year, with an expected total enrollment of around 412 to 422 students. As enrollment continues to rise, we've made deliberate efforts to maintain manageable class sizes and ensure students receive the individualized attention they need. This has included hiring additional staff and supporting their professional development to maintain our high standards of care and education. Due to the growth of 34 students since the 22-23 school year, we have been able to introduce 11.3 positions within that time frame. Importantly, all these positions are reimbursable by the state, enabling us to offer increased support to our students. Our SRSS assessment results offer further evidence of our program's impact. The SRSS is a screening tool used to identify students who may be at risk for social, emotional, or behavioral challenges. We've been able to assess the needs at the beginning of the school year and adjust our universal systems and interventions to ensure these students' needs are met. The initial assessment occurs in the fall, usually when children are entering school for the very first time. As evident from the data, there is an observable increase in internalizing and externalizing behaviors among students entering school for the first time compared to previous years. We have been able to proactively adjust our universal practices and implement individualized interventions, and we are eager to observe the progress all students have made when we review the assessment scores from the second benchmark that will be completed this month. We've established clear program goals for this school year. Our first goal is staff PLC participation, and we are currently at 100% participation in professional learning communities. The second goal is our sense of belonging. We want to maintain our 90% or higher score on the Panorama survey by fostering inclusive practices and strengthening student-staff relationships. In the area of curriculum and behavior support implementation, our goal is for 100% of teachers to implement the new curriculum and universal behavior supports with fidelity. This will reduce at-risk students on their SRSS and ensure consistency in all classrooms. This school year, we implemented 2 new systems, Infinite Campus and SpedTrack. Our goal is for all staff to become proficient in both tools. And we've been using monthly training sessions and ongoing audits as these are both new systems for our program. Our goal for special education compliance is for 100% of special education teachers to enhance compliance with IEPs and the transition process, and we are monitoring that on an ongoing basis. These goals are designed to drive meaningful progress and support both students and staff in measurable ways. We would like to express our gratitude to our students, families, staff, parents as teachers, and all the board members for their continued support and dedication. The success of our program is truly a result of the collaborative efforts and strong partnerships with each of you. Thank you.
And again, thank you. Impressive information that you've shared, and we can't thank you and your staff enough for all that you guys do. And I apologize, I have pronounced your name wrong twice, so.
I didn't even notice. I'm used to it.
Oh.
You're good.
I put an I now, so I remember it's Schwigel, right? Is that right?
It's like bagel. Schwegel like bagel.
I can't say that word. You,
Oh,
that's the
I can't help you
problem.
with that.
It's my twang, sorry. Okay, and now you are up again for early childhood full day pilot.
Hello again. As you know, my name is Tiffany Schwegel, and I'm the Director of Early Childhood in Mehlville. I'm excited to share our plans for expanding early childhood program at Bierbaum Elementary. Bierbaum previously housed an early childhood classroom during the 21-22 school year, but it was relocated to Troutwine due to construction. With Prop S construction now complete, we are excited to announce the opening of 2 new early childhood classrooms for the 25-26 school year. An exciting feature of this expansion is the addition of another entrance, which will provide convenient access for early childhood families and students. As mentioned, Bierbaum hosted an early childhood that was relocated to Troutwine. As part of this construction plan, the district committed to opening 2 early childhood classrooms at Bierbaum once this construction was complete. With that being set to complete, we've been exploring various possibilities for their use. Full-day early childhood program continues to be a significant need for families across our district. With that being said, we're excited to propose piloting 2 full-day early childhood classrooms as part of our efforts to meet the growing demand for full-day programming in our district. These classrooms would operate 4 days a week following our existing early childhood calendar and would serve 12 to 16 students in each class. Enrollment would be open to all families with placements filled on a first-come, first-served basis. To support this pilot, we would need to hire 2 additional teachers and 2 paraprofessionals, with 1 of each assigned to each classroom. The program would run from 8 to 4 p.m., and tuition would be $800 per month for 9 months. This pilot aligns with our commitment to expanding access to high-quality early childhood education and addressing the needs of families across the district. When comparing tuition rates across St. Louis County districts, we see a significant variation. For half-day programs, District 1 charges approximately $596 per month, District 2 around $303 per month, and District 3 around $324 per month. Full-day tuition also varies, ranging from $793 in District 1 to $1,120 in District 3. In Mehlville, our half-day program remains the most affordable at approximately $195 per month, a rate unchanged since at least 2008. However, unlike these other districts, we currently do not offer a full-day option, which highlights a gap in meeting family needs. Here's a visual to complement the previous slide. As you can see, our half-day tuition is significantly lower than that of other districts. Additionally, our proposed full-day tuition rate of $800 per month is positioned on the lower end compared to other districts, making it an attractive and competitive option for families. Now that we've reviewed how our rates compare to other districts, I want to propose a plan to adjust half-day tuition rates to stay competitive while also being affordable for families. Our goal is to gradually increase half-day tuition to $300 per month for the 4-day program over the next 3 school years. This gradual approach helps make the changes manageable for families. As you can see in the chart, we're proposing a $35 increase for next school year, followed by $25 increases in the following 2 years to reach the $300 goal per month. For families accessing 1 to 3 days per week, the increases would range between $10 and $40, depending on how many days they attend. After 3 years, we'd reevaluate to see if any further adjustments are needed. Here's a visual to put our proposed tuition increases into perspective. Even with the gradual adjustments over the next 3 years, our rates will still remain significantly lower than the average tuition of the comparison school districts. This demonstrates our commitment to keeping early childhood education accessible and affordable for families while staying competitive in the region. We are also dedicated to honoring taxpayer dollars by ensuring that these increases are reasonable, transparent, and aligned with our financial goals. For the 25-26 school year, the projected revenue and expenses for the proposed changes are as follows. Revenue from the half-day tuition increase is expected to range from $33,750 to $63,000, while full-day tuition could generate between $172,800 and $172,800, a lot of numbers, and $230,400. On the expense side of things, teacher salaries for 2 positions, including benefits, are estimated at $135,294 to $235,708, depending on experience. And then paraprofessional wages are projected to be between $82,000 and $97,704. Additional expenses include $5,000 to $10,000 for increased nurse hours, and $20,000 to $30,000 for classroom resources supplies. The overall financial impact shows new revenue of approximately $206,550 to $293,400, while total expenses are projected to be between $242,358 and $343,412. This results in a potential net loss or gain ranging anywhere from negative $136,862 to a profit of $51,042, with a midpoint of negative $42,910. It is important to note that the final financial impact is dependent on the variability in where the hired teachers and paraprofessionals will fall on the pay scale, which could affect the final expenses. Here's a preliminary timeline for launching the full-day pilot program. In January, registration will open for returning families to enroll. From February to March, we will focus on the hiring process for teachers and paraprofessionals, as well as continuing our planning efforts. Between April and August, we would want to confirm student spots, set up classrooms, and finalize all remaining details to ensure the program is ready for launch. Finally, in August 2025, the full-day pilot option will officially begin. Please note that this timeline is subject to adjustments as we move forward. Thank you for your time and attention. We appreciate your consideration of this proposal and look forward to the continued growth and success of our early childhood program.
Okay, thank you. There are lots and lots of questions and answers on e-boards again about funding and staffing, federal reimbursements and things like that. Does anybody else have any other questions that got brought up during the presentation? Okay, so from this presentation, we need to approve two things. So if I could please get a motion to approve the early childhood tuition rates for the 25-26 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up is full-day early childhood pilot program. So if I could please get a motion to approve the full-day early childhood pilot program as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, thank you, and thank you for all that work. I mean, this is very exciting also. You guys are a breath of fresh air tonight. I mean, we all know how important early childhood is. So thank you for investing your time and energy into building the program bigger and bigger and making it more accessible for really every student in the district. So thank you. Okay, next is middle school schedule. Are you the only man, Dr. Diwali?
I am tonight.
All right, Dr. John Diwali.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'm John Diwali, Director of College and Career Readiness. Last month, I had the privilege to present a new middle school schedule to you, along with Mike Salzman, Kelly Roberts, Lauren Cumming, and Jim Kern. I want to publicly thank our committee. I also want to publicly thank the four principals and their team. They conducted themselves with extreme professionalism, focusing on what was best for their students, their staff, and their buildings. I am here this evening to answer any questions you may have about our presentation and respectfully ask for your approval of the proposed schedule.
Definitely want to thank them for the four principals for being present. I know I had a lot of questions, and they definitely filled in all the gaps I had, so I really appreciate their time they spent.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions since the questions last month? Nothing? Okay. If I could please get a motion to approve the middle school schedule as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to the committee and all the principals and everybody involved in doing that work also. Appreciate that. Okay, next is health services data, Adam Smith.
Good evening, Board of Education. My name is Adam Smith. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, and tonight I will be presenting the Annual Health Services Data Report. So I think this picture just kind of captures what people experience, whether you're a student, staff, or a parent, when you walk into our health rooms throughout the school district. This is Nurse Teresa Wright at Beasley Elementary. She's talking to a student there, and I just think this just encompasses all the great work that happens and just the care and compassion that happens when our students are not feeling well, or there's a new medical concern that comes up, or just a question that needs to be answered, or a new medication change that this group of individuals really support day in and day out in our school district. They just do a fantastic job. I wanted to share a lot of celebrations. And in this picture, this is the Florida nurse, Marissa Barnum, and she's working on CPR recertifications. That is a part that happens with our health room assistants and our LPNs and RNs so that we are ensuring that they are certified and up to date on most recent techniques and such when they are staffed with having to do some of that work at buildings if need be in case of an emergency. But as Tiffany talked about, transitions for Infinite Campus this year impacted many areas, including health services. There's a lot of data and a lot of logging that happens in the student information system around student needs and health clinic data. So we've had a lot of training this year. Lead nurse Ahern, as well as Cindy O'Brien and I had to do a lot of work with IT on the health administration training and setup, and then all of our staff in the team worked on health user training, and we had 3 different parts where they had 3 to 4 hours worth of training just to get integrated into the new system, the differences between our old system, and then how things just work as far as just the functions of the daily interactions with the system, since it's quite different than what Tyler was. Also, I want to just shout out to Ms. Kathy Isley. She's a retired nurse from our district. She was at Mehlville High School for many years. She's great with technology. She understands our systems, our processes, how we chart, how we collect data, how our information system works with online registration. And so she agreed to come back and do some work and support in between our Infinite Campus vendor trainings to support our team at the administrative level, but also be kind of on the fly as nurses, our health room assistants needed things throughout first semester just to support the work in the building as they needed on the technology and training side of Infinite Campus. So she's been just a godsend to help this be a smooth transition as we change systems. Also this year, as part of our agreement in the MHPA bargaining cycle, we are taking care of all the nurse association for those 3 associations, the Suburban School Nurse, as well as the National Association of School Nurses and the Missouri Association, for all of our employees in the health services team. Not only does it keep them connected to best practices, it also allows them to have access to professional learning that is through a webinar and online approach, so they can hone skills or just get the most recent updates on whether it's diabetes management or seizure plans for students that might have action plans of that nature to support them at school. So it's been a really good asset, and we aren't asking them to take care of that on their own anymore. So we're taking care of that as part of just their development as well as access to just up-to-date information. Also, last semester, the team collaborated and we updated the policy procedure handbook for the health services team, ensuring that policy procedures and the board docs, as well as everything that we're doing operationally, is up to date, and everyone has new copies of that. Of course, the CPR recertification. We provide pretty easy access to employees, whether you're a Mehlville employee or a special school district employee, that you can get your flu shot here. So this past October, we had 566 employees, or their families, if they're on our insurance, receive their flu shots. One thing I was remiss and left off this slide is many of our health rooms, as you heard throughout the last year and a half, with all of the construction upgrades and the new security entrances and just office updates, many of our health rooms had complete upgrades or were completely redesigned during many of those construction projects, and they just have great spaces that they have that just is a complete update from what they had experienced from schools that were 30 years old. So just a lot of awesome things that have impacted this team. When I look at the team as a whole, we have registered nurses, we have LPNs, we also have our health room assistants, some travel between schools to support when there's heavier times, when the nurse needs a little assistance, whether it be lunchtime and supporting students with meds, or just different times of helping get immunizations in, updating conditions, things of that nature, and just that clerical side of the health room. I also would like to share, which I think is a huge celebration. Since last year when I gave this report, we have 2 of our nurses who have earned their national board certification. Those 2 nurses are the Blades nurse, Nancy Dixon, as well as the Scope nurse, Lindsay Boyette. And so we have some more nurses that are working on that as we speak, and hopefully maybe by this time next year I'll have more names to share, but these are our first 2 nurses that have received a national board certification as a nurse, and so we're very excited and proud of their continued efforts as well as their continued professional learning to support students in our team. The next 2 slides are including our enrolled students' healthcare needs, medical conditions that their parents share with us. And so this is accomplished through, if you're a new student, the enrollment registration process. If you're a returning student, you take care of this through the family update. That is an annual process through Infinite Campus. Parents also on the fly, if they receive a new physical, they receive a new health condition or a new medical condition from their doctor, those can be updated, next day if need be. And so this just kind of encapsulates all of that. Now, I did kind of really refine this when I pulled the report, and the data is looking a little different because it's a new system. So this year I had over 10,000, and it includes there's one person in the district that has a condition, but there were over 10,000 individual lines of possible conditions that students have in the district. So I didn't include all that, but I went with more of the higher numbers of things. So allergies are always something that, we have a lot of students that have allergies. Asthma is always a larger number. We have a lot of students that have asthma action plans. So that number just in this graph was 942. And you can kind of see the other parts that kind of fall in place on that particular slide. On this slide, again, encapsulating a lot of different categories. These are just some of the larger areas that we have where we have students that have a health concern or a medical condition that may or may not impact them during the day, but at least it's something that's reported to the nurse, the school teachers, the school teams that work with students also have this information just in case of an emergency so that they can also support students through the day to make sure they're safe and experiencing school in a successful manner. I did in the mental well-being category, we do have 2,550 conditions or medical needs that fall in that category for currently enrolled students as of first semester. And just to kind of break that down, I kind of put it down to where there had to be 10 or more students that had a condition that fit into that. But just to give you the gamut of what that would entail in that line graph, attention deficit disorder and ADHD, anxiety, autism, bipolar disorder, depression, mood disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, and panic attacks. So again, it may be something that a student sees a nurse frequently for. It may not be something a student sees a nurse frequently for. I think we probably go through a lot of Band-Aids, and we go through a lot of ice packs, and we buy these teeth things to put little, we lose a lot of teeth at school. And so the tooth fairy gets a lot of work from things that happen at school when kids are younger. But this is just kind of the big picture of what students that are in our care on a daily basis are coming to school with, and the team is supporting as needed. When you look at visits, this is always an awesome, interesting number. And this year with semester ending in December, at the last day before winter break, we had 63,306 log visits the first day of school until that afternoon. So it's a lot. I mean, these folks are busy. They're taking care of students, they're taking care of staff. So when you look at pre-K and elementary kind of combined, there's over, almost 34,000 visits. Middle school had almost 14, and then high school just a little over 15,000, just when you break it down by level. Some other things that we're really excited about is the nurses, through their memberships, as well as just the associations, the professional learning that Nurse Ahern leads and brings into the district. They have the options and the ability to work on their CEUs, just to stay up to date on their licensures. Also, continued work with Infinite Campus, making updates and enhancements just to make things better every year and continuously improve those processes with enrollment registrations, accepting applications and stuff to make sure all that information is updated. And then also continuing partnerships. I know I've been presenting and putting in consent in the last few months a lot more memorandums of understanding. So 2 of the partnerships that our nurses have really supported is the Big Smiles Dentistry Group as well as Kids Vision for Life. And so a lot of students that maybe don't have as much access to some of those opportunities, they're able to access that through the work that happens in the school to support the kids. So I appreciate all the support that you all as the board give the health services team. All the healthcare professionals work tirelessly to make sure that everything is great for kids. Kids are cared for, questions are answered, communication is happening in a very succinct and quick manner when something's coming up at school. Nurse Ahern is here tonight. She decided to stay for my presentation. I appreciate that. She not only is the lead nurse for the district and takes care of the administrative work to support me and my team on the daily, but she's also the site nurse at John Kerry. And so she has the site nurse responsibilities there as well. And then also Cindy O'Brien behind the scenes takes care of a lot of budgeting, ordering, and just all the stuff to make things run so smoothly. So appreciate the time tonight to present the report and appreciate the support you have of the Health Services Department in the district. Thank you.
Okay. So once again, there are lots of questions on e-boards, and I just want to make the comment that I think I make every year, that the numbers of students that you guys serve is staggering. So thank you, and thank you to everybody in your department for everything they do, because I know it's a lot. Whether it's a Band-Aid or a tooth or a true emergency, it's still a lot, and I'm assuming there's paperwork that goes along with each one of those 63,000 visits. So in under basically 16 weeks, right? Because there was Thanksgiving in there, and so, but anyway, we really do appreciate everything that you guys do for the kids. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything?
Just echoing what you said, there's a lot of hard work that goes in, and thank you for doing it all.
Yes, very appreciated. So thank you, Adam.
Thanks.
Okay, next is budget development. Marshall Crutcher.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'm Marshall Crutcher, the Chief Financial Officer, and I'm presenting on next year's budget. So the budget season begins. It's probably one of the most uncertain environments that we've started out in really since I've been here. So first I'll talk a minute about the more certain area, which is debt, and then secondly I'll talk a couple minutes on the other more uncertain areas. So really, there's like 5 different schedules on e-boards that covers debt. And really, simplistically, we can sum up what you really probably want to know is the principal for next year will be about almost $2.2 million expense, which includes a principal prepayment estimated around $625,000, which is allows the district to save $270,000 over the lifetime of the bond. And that's really pretty much identical to what we did last fall. We did a principal prepayment, so it's the same thing. The interest expense is about $900,000, and in the end, the debt service levy is anticipated to be about exactly 12 cents, which is what it was all these other prior years. In the nutshell, that's really important information on the debt. Like I said, that's more certain. What's not more certain is several areas that we discussed last night at the Finance Committee. So if you were at another time, because I'll have you focus on just the comments, the summary comments here, but at your leisure, if you look at page 4 on the December financial statements, that gets into more detail on some of the budget risk areas. And so just to summarize those areas of what you will see if you go to that page at another time is, first of all, for local taxes, one of the things that we're going to get into this summer is whether or not that property tax freeze is really going to take hold or not. We do not have enough data to even know what to budget. So for right now, until we get that, there won't be any budget assumption. So if it may not take hold, there's a lot of issues of whether or not that's going to happen or not. If it does go into effect, then at some point we'll get data, and at that point we can adjust the budget. So that is an uncertain area. Additionally, on local taxes, the collection percentage. We cruise along year after year, pretty traditionally collect 97.13% or pretty close to that. It varies slightly from year to year, but it doesn't vary a lot. Last year, with the higher AV, tax bills went up, and so our collection percentage went down to 96.26%. So then the question is, what are we going to have this current year, and what are we going to budget for next year? So right now, my one option, as we work through the spring, I'll continue to monitor things to see what makes the most sense. But for right now, if we just budgeted the midpoint between last year's percent and the traditional percent, that would be like 96.72%. Because we don't know yet what this year's collections are going to be. And so we can't base next year on this year's collections because we don't know. So if it turns out that the trend goes back to normal and we have traditional collections, if we've budgeted that midpoint, we might get favorable variance of $400,000 for next year's budget. if we have, as well as this year, at the end of the year, that would be a variance for this year as well, so it'd be a double impact. Same thing if it holds true on the other side of the coin. If we end up with a collection percentage that's similar to last year, we would have about a $500,000 unfavorable variance this year. And if next year's collections were the same, it would be another $500,000 unfavorable variance because the fiscal year 26 budget would be based on these current assumptions. So you really sort of have a double impact because you don't know what's going to happen until the very end of the year, and by then your budget's already approved. So that's a big uncertainty, but even a larger uncertainty is the formula. And so the formula, we have a lot of favorable threshold changes on LEP and free and reduced lunch. And basically what that means is they put a lot more weight on the ADA. You get more ADA if you use the current year WADA, the current year attendance, as the basis for this year's formula revenue. So we want to do that because we already know those thresholds have changed so much. We know that if we use this year, it's going to be better than if we use the other two options that we have, and that's fiscal 24 and fiscal 23. So we know we want to use this year, but we don't know what the attendance is. We have to estimate that. So if we look over the last 5 years, we're using a conservative estimate of 91.2%. But over those 5 years, if you look at the very best year, it's like 94% attendance. So we would have close to a $2 million favorable variance. If you look at one of the worst years, we would have a $1.65 million unfavorable variance. So we don't think we're going to be on those extremes. We don't think we're going to nail it exactly 91.2%, but there will be some kind of a variance. But, there could be a $2 million favorable. There could be a $1.65 million unfavorable. Whatever variance we have for this year's revenue, it will hit next year because DESE's going to pay us based on what we estimate this year. At the end of the year, they'll look at what our actual attendance was versus what we estimated, and that true-up will hit next year in fiscal year 26 as a true-up of fiscal year 25. Not only will that true-up hit, but next year our revenue will probably also use fiscal year 25 WADA as the basis for that revenue also, because you get to choose between 3 years. So whatever variance we have in this estimate is going to hit us twice. It's going to be a double hit. So if it's a $2 million favorable variance, it's really going to be $4 million hitting next year. Part of it is a true-up for 25, and part of it is an adjustment for 26. Same thing on the negative side. So you really just have to know that there's a lot of potential volatility that can hit in fiscal year 26 on that formula. Like I said, we think that we've budgeted conservatively, but you don't know until it's final. So those are really the key points that I want you guys to be aware of. And if you look at page 4 in the December financial statements, it goes into greater detail. So that's really all I have for tonight on the budget. Are there any questions?
Don't we also have the joy of changing WADA around because that's when the changes from 727 hit where weighted membership starts to change it?
Yes.
So it's 90% WADA, 10% weighted membership, and then it ratchets yearly up to 50-50?
Yeah, but at least that's predictable, and we can plug in the formula and make those calculations. But when we're guessing on the, actual attendance percentage, that's not, no.
At least in the fiscal note, they seem to think it's favorable towards us, but we'll obviously have to see how it plays out.
Right. Yeah, and I'll be working more detail on that as we go through the spring.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see when we get to about April, where we're going to be at, because that's when I think things will be set in stone for a lot of items for collections, estimates, and some of the other items that are happening for changing property tax, and the senior tax freeze will be a lot closer to being nailed down in stone. So I think this budget's going to be a real interesting one.
Yeah, there's a lot of dominoes. And, you know, one of the things on the local taxes is really just monitoring to see, you know, how we're tracking right now. And as of right now, we're lagging about $4.8 million behind in collections on local taxes compared to last year. So, you know, why is that? Well, I'm guessing and I'm hoping that maybe there's a large increase in protested taxes. That's what happened last year. Last year, we lagged way behind the prior year, and it's because we had a huge increase in protested taxes that we end up receiving in May from the county. You don't get that in December or January, you get that in May. But you don't know, right now, you don't know what that protested amount is. So if we're lagging another 4.8 million, the question is going to be, once you find out what the county has in protested taxes, do you make that up because protested taxes have increased a lot this year over last year that you won't know right now? You'll know at some point in the spring, but you don't know right now.
And we obviously will probably have an adjustment or two before we get to the end of it.
Well, and that's the thing. There may be an adjustment or two late in the budget season just because of all these dominoes if things aren't settled, and then all of a sudden there's clarity to some of these variables.
Well, definitely keep us informed.
Does the county being grossly behind in even posting tax payments have anything to do with your numbers at this immediate? I mean,
Well,
they are grossly behind.
That's the other thing, because I know that the billing was later than normal. So that's another question. Is it simply due to them just being behind?
Yeah.
And we'll know in April or in February if we continue to get payments in February that we normally weren't getting last year. That'll catch us up. So we'll be finding that out month by month.
Yeah, I mean, it says right on the county's website, do not cancel your check. We are unbelievably far behind in posting payments, and so.
Yeah,
And the mail didn't help at the beginning of the year either, being delayed with the weather.
Correct.
Yeah, that has to make a difference.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, thank you, and there's not a lot of questions about the budget because it's a fluid process, but there are a lot of questions and answers in our consent agenda for the financials and accounts payable. So thank you for all that work and all that transparency that you put on e-boards for us.
Thank you very
We
much.
can take a couple months off, Marshall, till things clarify a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next is communications report. Jessica Papillo.
Good evening, Mehlville Board of Education. I'm Jessica Papillo, Director of Communications, and I'm happy to present the communications report. Just a little bit about the communications department. We have a professional communications team of 3 employees now, in addition to a community education coordinator and the district receptionist who provides administrative support to our team. And our work is guided by the comprehensive communications plan, which is reviewed by the communications committee throughout the year, and as we develop that every 2 years. And I just have to thank them for their thoughtful feedback on everything we bring to that committee as we're making decisions throughout the school year. Some highlights of our work includes the implementation of the 24-25 communications plan, training and onboarding of our new team members. 3 out of the 5 members of our team are new, and they're doing phenomenal work for us. Full implementation of the standard response protocol. Hopefully you've seen that positive change as we're communicating emergencies in our schools with calm and with precision. Continued support for human resources, recruitment, and retention. And I'm going to go through the 4 goals that we have in our communications plan next and provide some highlights of our strategies and our tactics and where we're at in the metrics that we review. So our first goal is to develop and maintain positive collaborative relationships with all stakeholders to strengthen support in Mehlville School District, and we have pictured here St. Louis Public Radio reporter talking to a Woolman student about that outdoor prairie space and how they're using that to learn science and ELA. And that's one of our key messages that we're using throughout this school year is around academic achievement, student engagement, and what that curriculum looks like in the school day in and day out. It's funny that we have this picture here of Travis Cummings from KSDK. He visited Oakville High School at the start of the school year to learn about activities that kids are involved in to highlight cheer, football, twirlers, I'm missing a group, dance. And he was in the building today, again, at Mehlville High School, highlighting St. Louis CAP students who were teaching health students Stop the Bleed first aid response. So that will be on the air tomorrow morning. So we're happy to have the media in our buildings highlighting the great work our teachers are doing with our students and the great things our students are doing. We're also carrying those key messages throughout every communication channel we have, whether it's Mehlville Messenger, e-messenger, social media, and any of the other channels we have. We're continuing to be involved in local community organizations, Kiwanis Club. We have 3 chambers in our area. Wherever we can go to make those connections and relationships, we're there. A focus continues to be on opportunities for feedback. It's just as important for us to be listening as it is for us to be sharing information out. So we have formal and informal methods that we do that, formal being thought exchanges, community surveys like the one I'll be presenting after this report, public comments, committee participation, and informal is just being present at these district events. So hopefully you've seen a lot of us at those events. It's those quiet conversations in the hallway. People catch you, hey, I need information about this, or I have a thought on this. Those conversations are very valuable. In addition, we monitor comments on Parent Square social media, answering questions when they're presented to us. We're also really focused on expansive engagement, and that is connecting with people that don't have kids in our building on a regular basis. So how are we engaging with older members of our community whose kids have come and gone? 60 Plus has been a great program for us here. We've had over 1,000 RSVPs at our events since October 2023. We have more than 1,000 residents on our 60 Plus list, and it continues to grow. So if you're 60 or older and live in Mehlville School District, call 467-5000. We will get you on that list.
I can speak to this. It's a really nice deal. It's a great deal for seniors in our community.
And we invite them to, thank you, Jane, we invite them to special events throughout the year. Right now, we're working on the potential to invite them to the district art show for a special reception there. So more to come on that. Community education also plays into that, where we're always looking for programming that's of interest to families with young children, all the way up to our older residents in the community. And we've had almost 7,000 enrollments since July 1. I'm sure it's over that at this point. I pulled those numbers last month. And we have 5,800 users in the system that we're communicating with. And those are people that may not be in our facilities and buildings if they weren't in a community education program. When we look at measuring progress, we're looking at a few things in the frequent voter survey. The question about keeping the public informed about important school district issues and policies. We set a pretty lofty goal here of greater than 83% being very satisfied or somewhat satisfied. And we actually saw a dip in our 2024 results down to 73%. We kind of had some conversations in our team about why that might be. This year, we piloted doing Mehlville Messenger 3 times a year. We are going to go back to that 4th time. Our thought behind 3 times a year was because the August issue was heavy on back-to-school information, and we have the ability to communicate that same information to parents electronically. So we're looking at changing that to going back to the quarterly messaging and focusing our content on things that are of interest to the broader community, not just parents in our schools, because we have a variety of ways to reach those parents. We also ask, how likely are you to recommend Mehlville School District to another parent? We asked that to our parents. May 2023 was the first time we asked that question, and 77.8% were very likely or likely, a strong number. We set a goal of above 80%, and we saw some growth, and we like to continue to push to get above 80%. We're at 78.2. That survey was conducted before we had improved academic achievement scores as well. So I'm really curious to see what that does to those survey responses. Our second goal is to refine and review use of digital communications tools to ensure their use to maximum effectiveness, are streamlined and accessible for target audience. I think this has been an area of huge growth for us over the past 5 or so years. We're continuing to use Parent Square. This graph shows the amount of parents that interact with Parent Square. They're engaged with that platform, whether they're just clicking that heart button to acknowledge that they've read the message, they appreciate it, they're leaving a comment for their teacher, their principal, or one of the district administrators. They may be volunteering for a task a teacher is asking for, or filling a sign-up form. So Parent Square says, based on these numbers, about 74% of our families are probably engaging with us through this platform. So it's been a huge benefit for the district. And then, of course, we're continuing to follow best practices on social media to grow those audiences. And hopefully you've noticed a real focus on curriculum and exactly what is happening in our classroom, what are the activities the kids are doing, how does that tie directly to the curriculum standards. So Hunter has been doing a really terrific job of documenting that in the captions of the photos we're sharing on social media. We are looking forward to launching a new website in the summer of 2025. We are really looking forward to pages that are easier to modify, with our branding locked down, with better accessibility. So that, pending board approval tonight, will be a big project for our department over the next few months. Measuring progress, we've exceeded all of our goals that we set for ourselves well ahead of a June 1 date. One thing to point out, we have stopped participating in Twitter. We saw a lot of our audience sort of dry up and disappear, and then we were having difficulty tracking those analytics or metrics and not sure if what we were doing had an impact. But all of our other metrics are above where we'd like to see them. Goal 3 is all about establishing effective employee communication programs to improve that internal communication and district climate, and to provide consistency of messaging. So we are publishing staff notes at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, and we're publishing more frequent updates when there are timely things happening in the district. This year, rolling out Infinite Campus, we did a whole series of updates for staff before we shared information for parents to make sure that they knew what was coming and we were giving them the resources they needed to prepare for that. Continuing to push for recruitment and retention. Prop E had a big impact, but we're still letting people know that we're a great place to work. If you haven't checked out my Mehlville stories, there are some great ones coming up this spring as we enter into the hiring season, with our staff telling why they love working in Mehlville. Our team is our best recruitment tool for additional employees that we're hiring for. We started looking at client survey results and set a baseline goal to have more than 80% of our staff indicate that they feel valued as an employee, and more than 85% of staff indicate that they enjoy coming to work. And we're still well above those baselines. And we're moving on to look at how staff feel about whether information is communicated effectively in their school or department. The communications committee talked about this, and we had some really good ideas for ways communications can support that. And I'm looking forward to bringing that up in the next communications planning cycle. Goal 4 is our crisis and emergency related goal. And the standard response protocol graphic is up there because that's truly what we turn to when we change operations in a school to a hold, a secure, a lockdown, evacuate or shelter. It's very much part of our process to communicate that quickly. People are training on this. We're knowing what to do. If a school goes into one of those protocols, then a member of the communications team is handling external communications. Our goal is to communicate within 15 minutes of a lockdown. And thankfully, we haven't had a lockdown since we've had standard response protocol, so we haven't tested that. But when we do go into a secure or a hold, we're communicating very quickly on that, under 15 minutes. We do look at the parent communication survey again about how parents would rate the district at communicating emergency information, and we've seen some growth on that number. And I look forward to working to bring that up even higher if we can. So that concludes my communications report.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Well, you have another presentation, but thank you, and to you and the communications department. I mean, in my opinion, you've been a game changer for the district in terms of community perception and what people get to see into our schools. So thank you for all that work.
I know when I talk to other districts and they don't have one, I always tell them all the work that you do and all the avenues that you guys interact with, and strongly recommend they start looking into having a communications department. So it's really easy to say that to districts that don't have it because of all the work you guys do, and make a great example to tell the other districts.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is community survey results.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'm Jessica Papillo, Director of Communications. And this report is the community survey results that we conduct every 2 years. And we've been doing a survey since 2014. So we have quite a bit of data to show. Some of these questions are the same throughout that time period. Last time we did the survey in 2022, we shifted to a mailed survey. That was the first time we left from a phone survey to a mail survey. And we have a very strong response rate to that mail survey. That was a concern we had. This year we had a 23% response rate. So we have gotten statistically significant results that I think we can trust from this mail survey. We also opened up 2 online surveys. One that was open to anybody in the community, and one that was sent specifically to parents. It was the same survey questions, and that's what created the comparison document on the last slide. A little bit about our demographics. We had more women respond to the survey than men. The mean age was 64 years old, the median was 67, but we had responses from 18-year-olds all the way up to 101-year-olds. 21% of respondents had a child in the district, and also 21% of respondents said they were school district employees. The Mehlville zip code includes 63125 and 63123. Oakville is 63129, and then we have the 63128. So predominantly Oakville zip codes. And jumping into the actual questions asked, we asked how satisfied respondents were with our providing a safe and secure environment, and 90% of respondents were satisfied with our efforts to provide a safe environment for students, a slight improvement over 2022. And the piece I like looking at is of parents and of staff. The very satisfied ratings were much higher, 58 and 57%. And those are the people that are in our buildings every day, and we want to truly feel safe here. Keeping the public informed of issues and policies, we spoke to this a little bit in the communications report, but in 2024, 73% of frequent voters were satisfied with the district's efforts to keep the public informed, and that's down slightly. Of parents, 54% were very satisfied. And this survey was conducted about 3 months after residents had received Mehlville Messenger, which kind of plays back into my quarterly return to Mehlville Messenger. In 2024, 69% of voters were either very or somewhat satisfied with our efforts to prepare students for success in college or the workplace. Keep in mind that this survey came out before, or was largely conducted before we announced the improvements in academic scores on November 25th. So keeping in mind that timing is important here. I'm really curious to see how this survey may change in the future as we continue to grow our academics. Same with this question, setting high expectations for student performance. Currently 69% of frequent voters are satisfied with our efforts. And again, the survey was conducted before that achievement data came out. 75% of respondents were satisfied with our long-range planning efforts, including 29% who were very satisfied. So in 2020, which was the high point there, we were well into discussions about our strategic plan that we're living in now through community engagement, articles. We were flooding the communications channels with that. We were also preparing for Prop S. We had not passed Prop S, yes, sorry for that typo. But we were preparing for Prop S and doing facility steering committee meetings too. So planning was kind of that key word that you see in 28, 2018 and 2020. And that's another wondering I have as we go forward. Will we see that drive as we're preparing to launch into community engagement with our cyclical strategic plan? Slightly more than 70% of frequent voters were satisfied with our ability to spend tax dollars wisely, down a little bit from 2022. And again, Mehlville employees and those with children in the district had the highest satisfaction ratings, with 79% being satisfied or very satisfied. This year, 68% of frequent voters were satisfied with the district's ability to resolve critical issues, and that's gone down a little bit. Again, we're building back into a cyclical discussion of some of these issues and where do we want the district to be moving forward for the next 5 years. Overall, satisfaction is at about 78%, 76% of voters in 2024, down a little bit over time. Information sources. So this is the piece I keep coming back to, Mehlville Messenger. 79% of this population, where we've got 80% of people that don't have kids in the district. So we keep coming back to the importance of that publication. Also, call newspaper is still a big source of information for our community, word of mouth, district emails. And then these two charts show the survey comparisons. The first chart is those that were very satisfied, and the second chart is those that were very satisfied and somewhat satisfied. The take-home message is our parents are largely more satisfied than frequent voters in the community. General public is slightly more satisfied, and those people are connected with our school district in some way, whether they're following us on social media, they've subscribed to eMessenger, they're somehow connected with us too. They also have a slightly higher satisfaction rating. That concludes my community survey report.
All right. Well, thank you for that work. It was a lot, so we appreciate it. Okay, next is the 2026 through 2031 strategic plan. Dr. Brian Smith and Jessica Papillo.
Good evening, Board of Education. My name is Brian Smith. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And as you full well know, this is Mrs. Jessica Papillo, Director of Communication. This is the trifecta for her. So our goal tonight is to be able to give you an update with regards to our upcoming development of our strategic plan that will go from 2026 to 2031. Tonight we'll just briefly touch base around background, about some requirements, as well as an overall timeline. As I mentioned, our current strategic plan is set to expire at the end of the 25-26 school year. That particular plan has 5 themes. The 2 biggest themes in that are safety and personalization. As we get ready to go into the next iteration of our strategic plan, which can also be referred to as a continuous school improvement plan. If I work for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, it kind of is synonymous. There are a few things that we do need to be able to meet as part of that plan. One of those is that we will work in collaboration with both internal and external stakeholders, and that it will also be based around a needs assessment based around data. So there are certain elements that you want to have your strategic plan based in. Also that the local board, including which means you, that focus is going to be on academic preparation and the well-being of every single student in the district. Also that the strategic plan has things like mission and vision, goals, objectives, timelines, champions, essentially people who will monitor the work. And so there's a template that we will use to help inform our work and to ensure that all these elements are going to be part of that future strategic plan. We will also make sure that you are in the loop so that you are allowed to be able to monitor everything, including the outcomes of what that plan will ultimately end up looking like. And that plan will also influence other plans that we have as part of the district, whether that be school improvement plans, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act Consolidated Plan, professional development plans, assessment plans, and even technology plans. Strategic planning should really have its fingerprints in all sorts of things, and including all those plans that were mentioned. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Papillo to kind of go over the timeline.
Thank you. So starting early next week, our plan is to kick off the strategic planning process with a variety of communications around this timeline and around invitations for the community to get involved in this process, because we need their voices, we need their feedback to draft this plan and to make sure we're providing the community with the school experience that they want for their kids. So in January, we're working to create a strategic plan steering committee. Next week, we'll be sharing invitations. There'll be a form people can sign up to apply to join that steering committee. We're looking to have about 20 to 30 people, an inclusive and representative group from a variety of different backgrounds and with a variety of different relationships with different schools, whether that's employees, parents, students, community members. February and March, we'll be launching a community survey with the goal of selecting some facilitators out of that group and identifying some key themes and goals for us to work around. April 3rd, we'll have a community meeting inviting the entire community to come and join us with the steering committee to share results of the survey, to talk about where we're at, and to start kicking off some focus group and feedback sessions amongst that team. Moving forward into the summer months, champions for each of those goals will be working with like a subcommittee out of that steering committee to draft some plan with their thoughts, draft some plans, prepare community presentations, and really kick us into the fall. We're using that that excitement around back to school to bringing people back together and planning for community events, or how many numbers that might be, 3 to 5 themes or goals, but dividing out and having community meetings around each of those, where the facilitator can share sort of where we're at, some data, what are we hearing from the community, draft strategic plan strategies, and then gather feedback from that group and make changes to that going forward with the community member feedback. Then looking into later fall, revising the draft for that strategic plan based on community feedback with the goal of presenting a first draft to the Board of Education in December. And along the way, as we're having these series of meetings, we would be communicating through all of our district channels, invitations to join, ways to reach out digitally. You can't make the meeting, you want to provide some feedback, just to make this as an inclusive process as possible for our community. So much.
One really quick thing, the 2030-2031 school year is going to be the 100th year of the Mehlville School District. And I can think of no better way to celebrate than making the next strategic plan after this one. How exciting.
I think that sounds like a community engagement year.
You're still going to be here for that, right? Sorry, I should have asked that on e-boards before the meeting.
Can I have Marshall calculate that for me, how old I'll be?
So that it would be in writing.
I was going to say, sorry, I should have asked that that was put you on the spot.
Jess, I may actually have the copy of the first strategic plan.
Yes, that looks familiar.
Yeah. You might want to put that in the museum.
It's not a stone tablet?
Man.
Actually, it was pretty recent, actually.
We're slinging some mud around here. Okay, well, I personally am looking forward to this process and to see what our community is looking for in our district. And, you know, how many times have we heard it's up to the community to develop what, or, you know, to basically tell us what they want to see. So I strongly believe in that, and I'm anxious to get the feedback and follow what the community wants to see. So thank you. That was redundant. Sorry about that. All right. Next up is 2025 advocacy priorities. Jeff Woolman.
All right. There's a deliverable from the advocacy committee that basically generates a set of advocacy positions for the board. and that's due at the January meeting. So what I provided on paper, just because I wanted to show a comparison, is last year's versus this year's. If you take a look at the differences, you'll find that the number of bullet points dropped because lots of people said, hey, we should probably thin this out a bit because there's a lot of points that are either redundant or that are, sometimes they say the same thing more than a few times. So the number of bullet points have dropped. The content is still mostly the same, and there's actually a couple points of expansion. So, but they cover the areas of pre-K, school safety and security, open enrollment, legislative mandates, healthcare, and English language learners. So the content's, again, more concise, easier to read, and I think it's a much better document, and I want to thank our committee members for spending the time for finding better ways to say the same thing. So if you have any questions, let me know.
I have a request.
Feel free.
We are, and Jess, if you find any tricks on getting people to volunteer for this committee, please let me know what they are. We would love to have people join us on this advocacy committee. We need your help, community. It's important that we stay ahead of the legislation that affects our school district. If you're willing to help us, please let us know. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the advocacy positions document for 2025.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Next up is action items by consent, A through I. Does anyone need to pull anything? Okay.
Actually, I do. I want to pull F just to ask Jess one question. Sorry, Jess, I don't mean to put you up there for a fourth time, but
Okay. So if I can please get a motion to approve A through E and G through I.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And now we will have a question on consent item 7F.
for the WeGlot, the website translation product, are those costs annual that were listed on eBoards?
Yes,
That's a lot when you start getting into covering a lot of the languages we have.
yes, absolutely.
So the follow-up question is, can we test it as we start rolling out the test website just to see how well it works before making a financial commitment?
So you could approve the current order without it now, and we could add that in at any point down the road.
Right.
With an addendum to that.
Okay.
We did receive a sandbox today. I would have to check with them to see if we can also sandbox.
Because obviously,
that
since
service.
we're trying to reach everybody, and preferably their native languages as best we can, I'd be curious to see how well it works before obviously wanting to potentially hand the money for implementing it. So if we can find out how well it works and potentially put it into the trial that we're going to get as we migrate the website over, that would be great.
Sure, we can look into that.
Thank you. That's it, promise.
Okay. So,
To be clear, this agreement does not include.
Right,
Yeah.
that's understood.
Oh, it
I'm
doesn't?
just-
It does not, so it is something that we could look
Right,
at
it's
down
just
the
something as we
road,
roll
or
into it.
demo.
okay, so I don't have to change the motion
I
to
don't think so.
accommodate potentially,
We would bring that back if we wanted to add it on as a
Perfect.
separate item.
thank you. Okay, if I could please get a motion to approve 7F, the final site order website.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, thank you. Next is communications for non-agenda items, and we have no one here to speak. So if we could be put into, if I could please get an authorization of closed session?
Motion to enter a closed session meeting for the purpose of reading of minutes of previous meetings and corrections and approval same of other items under Missouri Revised Statute 610.021 subsections 1 through 21 and 610.022 subsections 1 through 6, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting particular employees, section 610.0213, and individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employment application or employees or applications for employment, section 610.02113, legal action, causes of action, or litigation, section 610.0211, records protected from personal disclosure by law, section 610.02114.
Okay. Scott?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes?
Tori?
Yes.
Peggy, yes. Patrick?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Grace? Yes. Okay, if I can get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.